Prof, nataka uniambie, your efforts concentrate on promoting Kiswahili. Of course, Kiswahili is our national language. First of all, what took you to that path?
So, thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
My journey with Kiswahili began in a very small town called Kipkeleon in Kericho.
Yes.
Very tiny little township.
Yes.
That's where my inspiration, because it was a multi-ethnic, multilingual township. And we grew up with Kiswahili.
Yeah.
Then much later, one of my teachers was from Zanzibar at Kenyatta College, Said Hilal Bwali, who taught me Kiswahili, proper Kiswahili. Then, of course, you know, I enjoyed the language and did lots of work around it, teaching in high schools. And then much later, of course, teaching in the university. I truly believed as a young person that the way we can build this nation is through our national language. And therefore, the people that I hung around with were actually from other communities. So some of my closest friends are either from the Kuria community, from the Baluya community, from Coast, and so on. And our language has always been Kiswahili. And of course, much later, the writing, and I must thank KBC, because as a young man in high school, I used to write Mchezo wa Wiki.
Mchezo wa Wiki.
Mchezo wa Wiki, play of the week, which came out on Sunday afternoon. That's how I used to get my pocket money as a young teenager.
Yes.
And I wrote Mchezo wa Wiki for a long time. Then later wrote Ushikwapo Shikamana, which was an amazing series.
You wrote that?
Absolutely.
I used to listen to that.
I wrote over 300 episodes.
I used to listen to that program.
I was the writer. We created these characters. We won awards for KBC, you know.
Wow.
And then, of course, I went on and trained Tanzanians how to write, you know, plays like Ushikwapo. And we wrote Twende na Wakati. They won awards. We went to Zanzibar. We trained people how to write like Ushikwapo. And they wrote Mshike Mshike. And I tell you, the doors opened through Kiswahili.
Yes.
And of course, you know, it was very important for me that we take Kiswahili seriously. And therefore, when I came back, did my PhD in linguistics from Yale University in the United States, and introduced Kiswahili up to 4th year in that university. We were doing Fasihi in America, Fasihi ya Kiswahili in America, and we did that. When I came back, we set up the National Kiswahili Association, CHAKITA, Chama cha Kiswahili cha Kenya, cha Taifa, and I was the founding chair. For 10 years, we did a lot of work promoting Kiswahili in this country to a level where now, by the time we are getting to the constitution-making process, it was very easy for us to put the argument for Article 7 that Kiswahili is not only our national language, but also our official language. So the journey with Kiswahili has been very, very strong. In a couple of years ago, I won the Noma Award, which is a Pan-African award, for a book that we wrote on the teaching of Kiswahili in terms of theory and method. I went to Cairo and collected it with Prof. Sarocha Chimera. Okay. And, you know, it was amazing. It's been an amazing journey.
Yes.
And I think it's a fantastic, and I will tell you a little more about the work we have done.
Your efforts with, in enhancing Swahili, what can you say has been the impact in terms of prevalence and embracing of the same?
Well, first of all, the fact that Kiswahili is recognized in the Constitution, not just as a national language, but also one of our official languages. That is really impactful. And I must say that it's the fraternity, the Kiswahili fraternity and advocates for the language that really pushed for that to happen. So it's really good for us. And also the fact that the work we have done, because I represented Kenya in the development of the protocols that established the East African Kiswahili Commission. So we were 3 of us. There was me representing Kenya, there was Austin Bukenya representing Uganda, and there was Ann Kishe representing Tanzania. And we actually prepared the documents that helped establish the East African Kiswahili Commission. And that is impactful, because it then means that any member country that joins the East African community must of necessity introduce Kiswahili within their borders. So South Sudan will introduce Kiswahili, DRC will introduce Ethiopia, once they join the East African community, will have Kiswahili. Somalia will have Kiswahili. What does that mean? It means then that Kenya and Tanzania can provide, the human resources required for the development of Kiswahili throughout East Africa. And we have also really pushed for Kiswahili at the Pan-African level. I see it at the Kiswahili across Africa. South Africa has introduced Kiswahili within its educational system. Namibia will be doing that. Zimbabwe will be doing that. We are looking at Senegal and Gambia to really adopt Kiswahili. So at that level, again, Pan-African level, I think we have done a good job. On the 7th of July, the whole world celebrates Kiswahili. So we have World Kiswahili Day, which then means that the whole world is focused on this East African language. And the two countries that can provide leadership, which have been given the responsibility of providing global leadership, Kenya and Tanzania. So pushing Kiswahili to South America, pushing Kiswahili to Asia, Europe, everywhere. So I think that in terms of impact, really, our work has been visible, our work has been productive, and I think that there is still some more work to be done in this country. Yes. To shift attitudes. I think that we need to shift attitudes. We need to recognize that it is possible to be very proficient in English and to be extremely proficient also in Kiswahili, which is our national language. There should be no excuse for any Kenyan not to be able to communicate in Kiswahili. We should have a national Kiswahili council. We have been pushing for this for some time. We have supported the ministry to establish the council, as well as the legislation that's required to operationalize that council. But we do require it as a matter of urgency, because we are losing very many opportunities. Many countries want to recruit Kiswahili teachers, but we don't have a platform for that recruitment, and Kenya needs to move very fast to seize that opportunity. There is no reason for foreigners who get work permits in this country not to show proficiency in Kiswahili. Anybody working in our rural areas, whether they are from Asia or Europe or wherever, should actually undergo some basic test, and Kiswahili, because this will open up possibilities for Kiswahili teachers and book writing. So I think that we have succeeded substantially in shifting things, but there is quite a bit of work, to be done. Recently, Alamin Mazrui and I wrote a book on Kiswahili and how it has been enabled globally through the experiences of war. So the Cold War, the First World War, the Second World War, and the current tensions between China and America and so on. All these tensions are helping Kiswahili, because everybody is looking at East Africa and asking how they can benefit from East Africa. And the way they are trying to benefit is through Kiswahili. So they're introducing Kiswahili within their jurisdictions. China is doing that, Korea is doing that, Japan is doing it, South America, Colombia will be introducing Kiswahili, and so on. So we have discussed that substantially. Yes. The book was published last year, and we are writing very many other books. I have co-authored the Kamusi ya Karne ya 21 with Shafi Adam Shafi and Professor Mde from Tanzania, which I think is one of the good monolingual kamusis used in all our Kenyan schools. And therefore we are producing books. We are doing advocacy, policy advocacy. We are working not just within Kenya, but actually globally to push for our national language, and therefore creating opportunities. So that is one of the areas that I'm doing quite a bit of work, and I'm really proud of the work we have done.